Oh my goodness, Teresa. Thank you. You are so beautiful. And where you're sitting is so beautiful. My name is Sharon. I'm an alcoholic. And gosh, the smiles are here. And Paula, my soulmate, and Carmel, I guess, my new enthusiastic friend. Anyway, there's many of you here I know and love, and more that I want to know and love, because that's my quest in life, everlasting love, which I'll never get there. So that's good. It gives me something to shoot for. Ali, thank you. Ali, thank you very much for the honor of coming. And I like your team. It's nice that you honor them. I know that, what does Carl Jung say? It is not what we know that heals, but who we are. And you can tell a man and a woman by who they are, by how they are inclusive in life with the people that are around us. I've been a little overwhelmed the last few days, but that connected with me in my morning meditation. I woke up at 8 o'clock, which I don't normally do. I had been on vacation, but then you need a vacation after vacation sometimes. And I hadn't had one in 2 years, so I really rocked it out. And so there I was, 8 o'clock in the morning. But the one thing that I do is walk the dog, feed the cat, feed the dog, and then I have my time with God. And that was not lost on me today. And in my meditation, it's so simple. I connected overwhelm with fear. Like, I mean, how easy is that to understand? You can giggle all the way through, Teresa. I love it. Yeah, so your enthusiasm is just it's infectious. Yeah, so I connected that and I went, okay, fear. That is something that it's, I have fear in my gut when I know it's there. I have fear in my heart when I know it's there. I have the blockages between me and God when I know it's there. And I like to know when it's I like to feel the blockages. I like to know why I'm upset. I'd like to know right now what's blocking me, because I don't like to live like that anymore. I don't like to live like that anymore. I am spoiled rotten in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm spoiled just, my goodness. And the beautiful, part about the spiritual awakening that you read, thank you. And I love the Herbert Spencer. I want to find out more about Herbert. I've got to write that down and go look him up a little bit. Something about Herbert Spencer that's ringing. I need to find out more about him, but that it never has to stop. It's a continual growth. And I picked this direct linkage, and, taken separately, these practices can bring much relief and benefit. I need relief on a daily basis because, as the Buddhists say, we all have a monkey mind. And I was blessed to know Sandy Beach, as I'm sure many of you have, and Don Pritz, as I know many of you had. What did he say that I loved? He said a couple of things, but one of the things I loved, he says, it's cruel to stand between yourself and the growth that God is trying to give you. But it's even more cruel to stand in front of somebody and their growth, to stand in the way of their growth between themselves and God. And that has helped me very much with friends, with sponsorship, with family, with my child, with people in my life that mean a lot to me. So how do I have this unshakable foundation? How do I know that my feet are firmly planted? I know the first time I ever had a little awakening in Alcoholics Anonymous was I was 31 days sober. I got sober August 20th, 1975, and I wasn't looking for Alcoholics Anonymous. I was not looking to be reborn. It's like, just get me off the streets. And yeah, I had this broken jaw. I couldn't talk for 3 months in AA. It was a blessing for all of you. I got to tell you that. I had run, that was my last big fun drunk with people that didn't like me very much and let me know it. And I came in here with no place to go. Parents said, Sharon, we can't help you anymore. Go to the Salvation Army. And I called, a number was sitting there by the phone, but for the guy that let me sleep on his couch because I had nowhere to go, nowhere to eat, nowhere to make a living. I had a court case they caught these guys. They wanted me to go to court. I was broken. I was an ember of life on that morning. And my mother and dad said, no, we can't help you anymore. And I looked down, there was a phone number to a girl I used to drink with at Barney's Beanery in West Hollywood. And she was dating the guy that I was sleeping on his couch. And I called her because she was always nice to me. She bought me drinks. She made a pair of earrings for me. She was beautiful. And I called her and she said, Sharon, I can't help you, but Suzanne can. And she had been in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous. I had seen her in the bar with the big book years before, well, months before. It felt like years, months before. And I didn't even put any of that together that day. That it was like picking up a breadcrumb that God gave me long enough for me to look down to grab it and pick it up. And she had me call someone in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I can't even talk. That was it. But she knew where I was because the liquor store I was living above, drinking cheap wine through the wires on the mouth where the tooth had been kicked out. That's what came to you. She knew the liquor store. She could understand the Duck Pond liquor store. And she knew that liquor store because it sold to alcoholics after dark, after hours. It took bad checks, it delivered. It was a great liquor store. It let you steal. So every alcoholic in the west side of LA knew that liquor store. So she knew exactly where I was. And she said, don't drink anything from now on, put it down, and don't smoke anything either. And I put down the joint in my other hand and looked around like, where the heck is this woman? She read my mail. And she said, go sit on the steps. She knew where the steps were and someone will come get you. And I didn't even ask for someone to come get me. I just need a place to stay. The guy asked me to leave because I was depressing him. I had nowhere to go. And I sat on those steps and this beautiful car pulled up with these beautiful women. And I hated all of them because they were shiny and pretty and everything was clean. And I got in the back with my backpack of my livelihood, my book, Be Here Now by Baba Ram Dass, because I was always on a search, always on a quest. Thank God in Alcoholics Anonymous, it's never ending growth. Never ending growth. Because I'm a more girl. I like tequila. I like more fun. It never stopped. And I want more spiritual growth no matter what it takes, because it's where I am. I want more God. I want more God to overflow. So I have no choice but to share it all. So they picked me up and took me to my first meeting. And guess what? At my first meeting, the man hooked me by saying he always waited for the spaceship to land and say, you can come home now, Bill. And I thought, spaceship people, I finally am where I'm supposed to be. And that let me sit deeper in my seat. I found out I was in Alcoholics Anonymous because a man put a book down in front of me, the book I had seen in the bar, Barney's Beanery. I went, oh, that's where I am. And then they were kind to me. And what is it? God, it's Wadsworth. I wrote this down. The best portion of a good man's life is the little, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and love. And if you wouldn't have been kind to me, I don't think I would have stayed. And the kindnesses came in things like, you look tired, kid, take your backpack off and stay with us. The kindnesses came and giving me a sleeping bag so I could sleep on your floors. They moved me out of the liquor store. The kindnesses came in picking me up for meetings and driving around to hear Chuck C and people like that, just sitting me in the back in the middle because I'm the newcomer. I got to sit on the hump. That's where newcomers sit. And they'd say, Sharon, what'd you think? What'd you think? And I can't talk. And but you know what it was? I felt safe. And that was your kindnesses. I felt safe. You let me feel safe. And at 31 days, this is my first little awakening. They said, stay and raise your hand for 30 days and, we'll help you. And I didn't know I wanted your help, but I needed your help. I was at the point of my surrender. I needed just the basics to survive. And I started to raise my hand and I went, oh, I have 31 days. And I had that feeling of just goosebumps all over me because I don't stay sober 31 days. Never. I was in jail once and I had DTs and I think I was 8 days in, and then I found the guy making his own creepy, whatever it was, wine, but I didn't care. Tasted enough alcohol from me. I don't stay sober 31 days. And I pulled my hand down and I knew I didn't do it, that there was some power somewhere that did it for me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was, just my creator. I didn't know it was this force that comes into us in Alcoholics Anonymous. And we are the ones that couldn't put down a drink. And look at us tonight. Look at how beautiful we look. I could look at every single one of you and see the shine in your face, see the light in your eyes. Those of us that are here in the middle of favor. We are in the middle of favor. We have been favored. We have been favored because our lives have been saved and we are to save another. And that's the basic for me. And so, yeah, kindness is, we're basic. It's something I hope I never forget when someone walks in the door. Just the little small kindnesses. Showing the woman where the bathroom is, walking with her, taking her number, showing someone where there's the literature, and this is the book that, this is our basic text. So here, have it. You can pay us. I paid $0.25 at a time to Maurice Zolotow, a Hollywood writer in our group, fabulous guy. He said, he came to my watch. We have a watch where you watch people get sober for a year. We don't let you leave. It's the night you're turning 1 till midnight. We stay in, we have a cupcake with a candle and we sing at you. And we don't let you out of our sight. And we sit with you. And at my watch, Maurice walked in and he said, Sharon, I knew you'd stay sober. You were the only newcomer that year that paid me back $0.25 at a time for that big book. Because you see, I don't owe you anything. I don't want to owe you anything because I leave. I always leave. I'm always searching. And you said to me, you can pick your own God. And you said to me, we're going to work these steps as best you can. Let's get going. This is what I did. Now you have to pick up the tools. You didn't do it for me. I grew up in a great family, but I was a manipulator. I remember home ec class, I hated it. And they had you had to learn how to buttonhole. Now you guys are probably losing you on that, but it wasn't easy. And you had to learn how to do a sewing machine. And I would sit with my mother and say, Mom, can you show me how to do this? And she would do it. So I didn't understand. Can you do the next buttonhole? It's like my mother did my whole project for me. See, I don't want to work hard for something. I want the end result. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, you taught me how to get some spiritual muscles because I wanted to feel better. I saw you feeling better. I'm still amazed at the aura around AA meetings. No matter what our immediate problems, fears, or resentments, we come to a halt when the meeting begins and focus on our primary purpose. That's in the home group, the heartbeat of AA, somewhere in the grapevine somewhere. The heartbeat of AA, we focus on our primary purpose when we're together. And that's equanimity. That's equanimity. We're egalitarian here. We're all equal with the disease that will kill us. That will kill us and tell us we don't have it. And so I have been in places where I've had no relief and I've had to seek the relief. I've been in places where I've had such pain, but I'll tell you the one thing I haven't done, if you're new, don't leave. Don't leave. I had my husband at 10 years of sobriety. I had a baby and he decided he wanted the newcomer in the room. Now nobody got custody of the meeting. I mean, we have big meetings, but nobody got custody of the meeting and they were much too joyous for me. And all of you knew it happened. Now I'm in a spot in my life where I'm sponsoring people. I've made amends to my mother and my father and my family and people in New Orleans because I lived there. And there were many things on my list that I couldn't do until they showed up. And that's about being aware. That's about seeing where I moved in life and what there is for me to do. There's always something for me to see and to do, to move through it so that I can be more healing, not to myself, but to you. Forgiveness to me is giving it to the person I'm forgiving. It comes back. So I had been through all of that. And I sat in the meetings at 10 years of sobriety. My sponsor smoked pot in Paris. So now I don't have this wonderful sponsor named Ginny anymore. And there's a man in my group, the group I landed in. If you would have told me it was this group, I would have said bye. And I landed in the Pacific group. And there was this man named Clancy. And this man named Clancy, I asked to be my sponsor because I was scared to death. I had this new baby and I was getting passports. I thought, I'm going to go to Paris. And I wasn't very nice to the people there. I wasn't very nice. And I would let them walk over my legs. I wouldn't remove my legs when they wanted to get in the aisle. I had been punk rocking a little bit just to get my pissed off self out. And I used to go to a group called the Cramps all the time. Actually, he's buried in the same grave, the great gravesite that Dr. Bob was buried. I think his name was Lex Luthor. But and I made a big Midol shirt to wear to the meeting, because then to the concert I would wear the Midol shirt to the Cramps concert, and I had my hair cut white and I would spike it up so that I could just kind of scare you as you tried to hug me with my hair. And I was 10 years sober, and I had this new baby, and my husband has this new woman, and they're happy in the back of the room. And you guys knew what was happening and nobody told me, so I hated all of you. I sat in the room and I seethed. Betrayal. Man, that's my line in the sand. I'll go through anything, but not betrayal. And I felt betrayed by all of you. And I just hung onto the seat, and I thought, I am going to let you see how much of a victim I am. And I came in the room and I sat like that. And my friend, well, she was an old timer. And she walked by me and walked by with the newcomer and then stepped over my legs. She had about 5 more years than me. Pat Hodges, God bless her. And she stepped over my legs and brought the newcomer over my legs and stopped and looked at me, looked at the newcomer and said, look at Sharon. She's got 10 years. Do you want what she's got? And it was like, oh, that's that new girl there. I met her that day at the yard. What kind of an example am I? And I heard it. See, now I wasn't ready for awareness. I was ready to have more hate. But I put myself in the seat and I didn't leave. And I had a moment of being open enough that I heard it. And I turned myself in to Clancy. I did another inventory. I didn't throw the hot coffee on them. He said, Sharon, you have to be an example of dignity and grace. But I want revenge. And he didn't listen. He said, so you can be an example to others. And that has kept me behaving in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, no matter what. And I have to take that out there now, because I can't be one person in and one person out. I can't be one person in the rooms and one person at home. I can't be one person in the rooms and one person on the road. There used to be a lady in our group. She was from Australia, and she drove really fast. And we kept saying, you can't drive like that. You've got an easy does it sticker on your car. Back in the days, we had stickers, bumper stickers. And she drove like really fast. People rode with her like, oh my God, where did she learn to drive? Out, who knows, out in the bush. She just went. So one time in the parking lot, we thought, she's not slowing down. This is embarrassing for Alcoholics Anonymous. Somebody put another bumper sticker over her bumper sticker. It said, this too shall pass. There's always a solution for something, It's like, get together, we'll come up with a solution. So I think I started deepening my prayer about then at 10 years. Now, believe me, I have prayed and paused and kept my mouth shut. And when I go be with my family, that grooved record, my older sister, the Mensa, the brilliant one that saved us from a fire when we were 6, hero child, full ride to a Ivy League school, retired at 50. Her name was put on a 777 because she flew so much for her work. Dad's favorite, what can I say? And then there's me, the middle child, the alcoholic. And then there's my younger sister who had the ponytail and the horse. And then there's my brother who has a doctorate. And I'm sitting in the car. This is my big pause moment with my family, because I had prayed that morning, had quiet time, connecting from LA to O'Hare, night flight, sat in a little quiet place I found at O'Hare. It's still there. And I had my prayer and meditation, and they picked me up that morning. Now, I have been sober in Alcoholics Anonymous quite a while, sending my dad my letters with the notes with the money I owed him, because my sponsor said, don't just send the money, send a note about your life. I did it for 4 years and 10 months until my dad called me and said, don't send any more, daughter. You're done. You're free and clear. But no more money, but don't stop sending me your notes. So things were healing. Things were healing. And they picked me up, and we're all there. My sister's getting married. I'm in the middle of the van. I've got them all around me. I'm sitting in the middle. My dad's talking to my sister about finance. I'm thinking, Dad, I paid you back the money. What about talking to me about that? Maybe I know something about finance now, but no. In the back, my mother's talking to my sister about fashion. So she lives in Alaska. I just got off the plane from LA. Come on, look it. I can tell you about it. I'm the fashionista in the family, but no. And then my brother's talking to his new brother-in-law, who's a commercial fisherman, and they're talking about fishing. I thought, if I am not brought into this conversation, something's wrong, because I taught my brother how to put a worm on a hook. And there I am sitting in the middle of the van, realizing I am going, making this cathartic sobbing noise. And my dad stopped the van on Cedar River Road, beautiful, beautiful part of Iowa. And he stopped the van, he turned around and looked at me and he said, "Are you okay?" Oh, no, I'm not. You're all here. I've waited for this moment for my whole life to tell you why I'm not okay. And I have just this little, soapbox that I can undo. It's right here in my purse. Stand on it and tell y'all. But no, I heard a voice because I had that morning. I opened enough space. It said, "Get out of the van." Thank God I got out of the van, because I could have ruined everything about Alcoholics Anonymous in that moment. Everything. But I had my morning, because something happens to me sometimes at night. That little spiritual window, that glimpse it talks about, just kind of closes up. And then I might not have heard that voice. I might not have been able to understand what this woman on the phone is saying to me when I answer the phone in the morning. I might not be out of myself to listen. Listening is a spiritual tool. Listening is right from God. Listening is an art. It's an art. It's an art form. Nothing is better than walking out and listening to the wind, listening to the birds, listening to the dogs, listening to the planes, listening to nothing, listening to the raindrops. It rained this morning in LA. What? It rained this morning in LA. What does Mother Teresa say? Every drop in the ocean makes it bigger. Every drop of kindness, every little drop of kindness makes a ripple. And so every day I try to go out and just have a little Zen stone, nothing big and clumpy and dirty, and throw it in life. I am trying to just drop a little Zen stone to see where it's going to connect. I don't always know. It can be from somebody I've never met. It can be from the homeless guy named Dakota on my off-ramp who now has a puppy. He said his name is Allie, and I thought, Allie, like you met him in an alley? And then he said, Ollie, like Oliver Twist. And I had another girl come up to me and said she was just praying. She was just praying, and she wanted to give me something holy. And it was a smile and just this. You just don't know where it's coming from. I don't. I try to be open to whatever it is. I am surprised. I like surprises. God shows off in little ways in my life. People get rainbows and all of this, and double rainbows, and that's the house I'm going to buy. I had a big double rainbow for it. It's like, I just get little voices, and I have to really listen hard, and I'm glad, because it cleans me out. I want to be cleaned out. So I know that I kind of just try to talk from my heart, and I'm not like a book quoter, but what's something that I got this book from Sandy. It was from his Far Corners retreat, and it's by Stephen Levine. It's called The Gradual Awakening. And I love this book. But it talks about the wanting mind, because alcoholism centers in the mind. And boy, oh boy, if I don't quiet my mind, it's called the wanting mind. When we see the depth of wanting in the mind, we see the depth of dissatisfaction, because wanting can't be satisfied. When we get finished with one desire, there's always another. As long as we're trying to satisfy desire, we're increasing wanting. Ironically, though, this is the good part. When we experience the depth of dissatisfaction in the wanting mind, there follows a great joy. Because when we see that no object of mind can in itself satisfy, then nothing that arises can draw us out, and we begin to let go because there is nothing worth holding on to. And it goes on and on about how more the mind wants more. And breath is something I need to meditate. Breath is something I need during the day. I don't breathe a lot. I don't even think I exhaled in life until I did my inventory. I think I finally started exhaling in life when I did my 5th step. But when I can connect with my breath, it opens me up to calm. It opens me up to the space that I need to breathe and to let go. And I see my girl, I was talking here earlier, and she and I were talking about our needs, and what she's going to go on a beautiful 8-day quest. And my 8-day quest was with my family last week. And my older sister, the hero child, my protagonist, my whole life, is in a memory unit, a locked memory unit. And it's from her falls from brain bleeds after her husband died. She was getting, 5 quarts of Jack Daniels from the liquor store there in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, alone in a big house. My brilliant older sister has Korsakoff syndrome. She knows who we are, and she has a sense of humor. And I show her the pictures, and she's good with the family. But thank God, at 40 years of sobriety, because this started 2 years ago. We didn't know. We didn't know because he was protecting her. And then when he died, she wasn't protected anymore. But at 40 years, I had been making my amends to my sister, making amends to my older sister. And it took 40 years for her to look at me as her sister with nothing between us. And I'm so grateful I didn't give up because that happened before this. I'm so grateful I didn't give up because my heart wouldn't let me. It has fallen from here to here a long time ago, and my heart tells me the truth. My heart cheers me on. My heart knows the way because my God lives in my heart. But as St. Francis, it's St. Augustine, I think. He says, pray all day long, use words if necessary. So my feet are my prayers. My hands are my prayers. My smile is my prayer. Many things are my prayers. I love the St. Francis prayer. That's one of my one line at a time. My sponsor taught me to just take one line at a time and pray on that. My meditations early on, I was too energetic. I had to walk. She said, go walk and say the Our Father 3 times in a row without thinking about yourself. I dare any of you to try that. Because I get through 2 and I go, oh, I got through 2. And it was like, oh no, I never got through 3. I don't know if any of you have ever done the 7-day mental diet, but I can get to day 3. That's it. Day 3. And I love the golden key. It is part of my daily. It helps me very simply let go. Because I got to let go. And humility, humility is the room within us which we provide, clean up, and make available for God. So that's what I do every morning. I clean up. I like to do writing. I love to write. I love to write letters to God. I love to have God write letters to me. I just love having God in my writing. I love to talk to you between one-on-one. Things fall out of your mouth that you go, oh, I've never said that before. Things come out of my mouth, or we'll find an action together. Go, I never noticed that before. It's like where 2 or 3 are gathered, there's God. And I experience that all the time when I'm out of my way. It hurts to be in my way. What's blocking me? What defect of character? What is it? My biggest is defiance. My biggest defect of character is defiance. And it almost took me out a couple years ago. A couple years ago, I lost my dad. My dad was killed in 99. We were great. We were great. We had our root beer. We had our root beer. I spent all day with him doing errands. He brought me down to the coffee klatch, no women allowed, introduced me to everybody. We're driving home a hot August day. It's, I don't know, maybe my 15th trip home in my, since my sobriety. And I am like, the letters are written, the money's been forgiven, the innocence has come back. I didn't know that was going to happen. And we stopped at the NW. My dad said, "You want a root beer?" I said, "Love one." So I walked back to the car with my root beer to get back in the car. And he said, "No, there's a picnic table. It's Iowa. They calm down and relax a little." So we went over there and sat under the shade tree on the picnic table. And my dad and I were just sitting across from each other having a talk. And if you would have been getting your root beer, you would have looked over and gone, "Oh, look, there's a dad and a daughter having a chat," not knowing what's gone into this, not knowing how special and sacred that moment was. And if you'd have looked under the picnic table, my legs were swinging like a little 6-year-old girl. So happy. Fireflies, the cicadas, the wind in the trees, and our root beers. And what happened was my dad and I we were good for many years before he was killed. And then things happened. And, that ex-husband left the second wife after they had a baby, and she told me that I was her example of walking through it with dignity and grace. What? I was? I didn't want her to have my example. No, she's crossed off the list. Everybody gets my example of dignity and grace, but the girl who sleeping with my husband, who they then married, and we raised our kids in Alcoholics Anonymous, her and me together, and we are best of friends. Who knew? And there I am, meeting Casey Crane for 24 years. We had a love story. And we did a lot of good AA, and many of you met him. And and I had to say goodbye to him 10 years ago, June 3rd. And that was what Teresa and I had a couple moments. Paula and I have had a couple moments. I'm sure there's others here, if I look around, they've had some moments of me talking about him and me remembering how good we were together. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard letting go, but it was peaceful, joyous. Alcoholics Anonymous, Irish nun sober, Buddhist guy sober. We had a blues picker at the end of the bed playing blues. And he was a spiritual warrior, and he went out. He was in hospice 2.5 days. And then my mother, 5 years later, on his birthday, went out in hospice 2.5 days, 95. And you've been there with me all the way through. I love deeply. I love you deeply. I love Alcoholics Anonymous deeply. I cannot imagine me being the child that was framed in black on the family piano that was gone. And my mother having to tell everyone she was great, she was full of love. We don't know what happened to her because they didn't know alcoholism. And on August 20th, 1975, I picked up a breadcrumb and I got led to you. And I stayed because I was tired. And I stayed 2 years ago when my career of 30 years, they kind of said, "We're moving to Dallas and not asking you to come." Okay, I don't like Dallas, nothing personal. I didn't want to go to Dallas. I love my group. I love LA. I love here. I love my life here. And so they signed the separation agreement, gave me some money. I went, yay, I don't have to sit in the freeway for 3 hours every day. And I knew life was going to change. I knew it was coming. God was saying something good is coming. Hang in there. You're killing yourself at this job. You're physically killing yourself. I was because I'm defiant, and I was proving to them I could do 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Give it to me, give it to me. And it was killing me with a high blood pressure. My sugar went up. I'm like, all better now. But when that hit me, I was elated, and then I hit the skids. What am I going to do? I would answer my phone, do what I was supposed to do, and go back to bed between every single phone call. Every single phone call, I'd have to go back to bed. And one day I'm standing on my balcony, third floor, and I'm thinking, I just had this much of a spark like when I came to AA. And then the phone would ring. Really? Okay, I'll listen. You broke up with your boyfriend. Oh, poor thing. Your nail broke, whatever it was. And I thought I'd better talk to my sponsor. And Clancy was alive and with it and everything I needed back then, 2 years ago. And I was sitting with him at our meeting. And for some reason, everybody was leaving him alone that night because we were having a talk, you could tell, because I was telling him where I was. And he just listened, and he turned around and he looked at me and he said, Sharon, it's because you're defiant. And I went, oh yeah. My Achilles heel, take me out. Please always tell me I'm being defiant. Please. I hope I have enough people around me to say, just let go and walk into the next room. It's begging you to come. There's always a beautiful room waiting. There's always a new view as I'm in the hallway. It's like other people are in the hallway, Sharon, go see what's wrong. Let's go see if you can help them. Ask them how their chemo's going. Ask them how their mother's feeling. Ask them what you can do for them. Do you need food? What can I do? Get out of yourself, Sharon. I had forgotten that defiance keeps me in a wall. And then I start building a case. And Clancy just looked at me and said, it's because you're defiant. And it was like, oh yeah, that's right. I had forgotten my alcoholism. Thank God he was there that night for me. Could have been a different ending. I don't know. But I have a sponsor. The sponsor knows that I am sponsored by them. I have a new woman named Nancy M. And she's transition was easy. And Miss Clancy every Tuesday at 2:30. That's my call time. So I call him in heaven. And I think Casey and him and others have been talking about me, helping me through things. And my life has started again. So I have been shaken, but I haven't lost my footing. Humility is the soil with which I have to stand. Humus is the Latin word for humility, which is soil. I don't have to be bludgeoned into humility today. I had someone write in my book at my divorce, Don Newcomb, if anybody knew him in our group. He said, humility is what is left when the pain has been removed from humiliation. I guess I got to walk through the humiliation to get to the humility. So it's a quest. Sometimes I have to take out my oxygen and my crampons and all my windbreakers as I'm going over the mountain. And then I look down and I go, it's a speed bump. We're so dramatic. You can lay down and roll over it, but no, I got to get all prepared. Humility is that's he wrote in the grapevine, humility is the soil in which all other virtues grow. So I have to keep my feet planted. And he also talks about in the book, The Sunlight, nothing grows in the dark. Nothing grows in the dark. Nothing grows in the dark. Where is that? Yes. Okay, a clear light seems to fall upon us when we open our eyes. Since our blindness is caused by our own defects, we must first deeply realize what they are. Defiance. Constructive meditation is the first requirement for each new step in our spiritual growth. I write, I pray, I meditate, I read, and I walk. And the wind talks to me. I don't know, I'm about done, right? 2 minutes, 1 minute, Teresa? Okay. The wind talks to me. When my husband was dying, we were sitting having a cup of coffee looking outside, and I was complaining about work or something. And he's sitting there, he's just going off to another treatment. The oatmeal has been left in the microwave. When I come home from work, it's still there. He's not eating. Things are turning, and I'm complaining. And he was quiet. We're doing our reading, and the Santa Ana winds were blowing that day. And they call them the devil winds because they come from the heat. They come from the desert, and they really blow hard. And he said, Sharon, look outside. Do you see the wind? I went, yeah, look at it. There's a tumbleweed blowing down our street, and the trees are banging on the house. And he was quiet a minute, and he said, no, Sharon, do you see the wind? And he emphasized the word see. And I thought, listen, be quiet, sit. What is he trying to tell you? You know, I don't know about you, but I've seen Kung Fu, Grasshopper Sensei. I felt like Grasshopper. I sat there and just sat there and thought, what does he mean? And then I thought, oh, he means the eyes. I can't. I said, no, I don't see the wind. And he said, that's right, Sharon. And he was quiet for a minute. And he said, you see the effects of the wind, right? I said, yeah, I see the effects of the wind. And he was quiet some more. And I was quiet some more. And then he said, you know, I don't see God in this cancer. It's hard. I don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave my life. I love playing golf. That's over. I don't see God in this cancer. And it's hard. But every day I want to live. Every day I want to have God in my life. So I go out into the world and I don't see God in this cancer, but I go out into the world and I look for the effects of God. And he gave me my marching orders. He gave me my marching orders. And it's been 10 years. My life is moving through all kinds of new, beautiful joys. I'm excited about what's next. I'm feeling energized and youthful and full of love and full of hope. And change is coming, and I like it. I like change. I know it's change for the worse or change for the better, but you know, one way it's change. And Bill says, don't fear change because it'll all get around if you stay sober. You'll get through the hallway. It'll be a new view. A new view. I've never known that view before. My dad 12-stepped the town drunk in Mount Vernon, Iowa, because I was the example, and I shot up in that van that morning. He wouldn't have done it if I would have told them all. I thought, well, look at that AA, what it's done to our daughter, because I was the example. And this man came to my dad. He was the town drunk, and he complained about his wife. And my dad said, you know, it's not Mary's fault. You're an alcoholic. Alcoholics Anonymous has helped my daughter. Maybe it will help you. And he gave him the book that he bought at my wedding in 1977 that he read and knew how to be ready for me when I called about amends, financial amends. Most alcoholics owe money. I think I'll run a calculator tape. But that's, you know, that's my dad. So he gave him the book, and his name was John. And my mother told me this after my father was killed. I didn't know this. And I was speaking at a meeting. And that morning, I probably just put a little ripple in the, just a little stone, little teardrop, whatever it was, in the lake of life. And the ripple got to hit the shore that day. I got to see it because this girl stood in front of me after I talked about that night, because my mother had just told me. And she said, do you recognize me? And I went, no, this is Thousand Oaks, California. And I said, no. And she said, her name. And I went, oh my God, I babysat you in Lisbon, Iowa. I smoked pot. You okay? I was like, oh, more bends. And she said, yeah, I'm fine. And I said, well, what are you doing here? And she said, I just want to tell you, that's my Uncle John, and he's still sober. And then she said, then the ripple hit the shore. I caught a glimpse. She said, I went home 2 years ago for a family reunion, and my Uncle John 12-stepped me. I have 2 years. We don't know where it goes. We don't know where it goes. My life is with you. My joy is with God. My joy is seeing the light in your eyes. And the wind, the effects of the wind, the birds, they sound like diamonds to me. We're all in the same root system here. Sometimes you're higher than me, getting the sun, bringing it down to me through the root system. I'm further out. I've got fresher soil. I'm bringing it to you because you haven't had fresher soil. We're all the same root system. We're all in this together. What I do affects you. What you do affects me. And when we hold hands and say the Lord's Prayer, we're all with God. We're all sober, sane, mostly. And, you know, my emotions have evened out. Clients used to say we're like a pendulum, alcoholics. The pendulum swings right on a grandfather clock. We swing way up here, and then we go down through the bottom. And clients, he said, this little part is called normal at the bottom. And we swing up to here. I hate him. He's just not, can't stand his hairdo, whatever. And then it swings down through normal. And then it swings up to, I love you. I can't stand to be apart from you. Now how we are, one or the other. And then it passes through normal. And Clancy said, this is all we get to see. We'll always just pass through, Sharon. Just do your best to reduce the swing. Reduce the swing. And that's what sobriety, step 11, my God, all of you have done for me. You've reduced the swing so I can be effective in life. Thank you very much for having me.